grand final win made us all believe. The world took note with Chris Ben's fall. The Robins superb, now we won it all. Red Army, let's hear you sing with all your might. For your world champions in the red and white. We are okay, and we are the champions of the world.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Robin Pod, which is of course powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Joining me once again on the Robin Pod, backed by popular demand even, is Peta Kingston. Peta, it's great to have you on the Robin Pod. How are you faring?
Yeah, pleasure to be back on, John. You know, I always love coming on. Yeah, doing really, really well, thank you. Again, back in the groove, aren't we? Great time to be a Robin.
Yeah, we are definitely back in the groove. And remember, if you're watching on YouTube or listening on podcast, make sure you like and subscribe and get involved by adding your comments in the comment section. Your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. But let's kick off with that big victory over Toulouse down in France on that sunny Friday night. Peta, it was a game where pretty much everything went right for the Robins and they were pretty dominant, weren't they?
There was, and I felt this game could have been a potential banana skin because we've seen what Toulouse do to a lot of teams, especially in the second half. So it's massive credit to Rovers. And, you know, we didn't start off like, we got a very, very early try, but I think we had about 5 or 6 sets on Toulouse's line. And we didn't go over, but at the same time, we didn't panic, and we just seemed to play our own game and tire them out. And obviously, in the second half, we just run riot. And I felt like that was very much the Rovers of 2025. What we saw, where they just applied the pressure, they suffocated them, and they took the chances when they did come, and they was very, very patient. And yeah, it was a pleasure to see. It was also a pleasure to see Mikey play, getting back to his best as well, because we saw Cesar Rouge trying to get under Mikey's skin, and Mikey didn't get sucked into it. He let his rugby do the talking, and of course Mikey come out on top. So yeah, it was a great performance from everyone who took to the field on there.
There was some rumours dropping during the week, Peta, that we may see Bill Leyland and Jordan Desario, of course, who featured for St Helens in that Good Friday victory over Wigan. Many supporters hoping to see them as well. I think after seeing what they'd done, they got the opportunity to play in the red and white from the interchange bench. And of course, we saw Elliot Minchella come back after that injury, which kept him out the York game. And it was a strong lineup, wasn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong, Carl Lawton and Sam Luckley missing out with injuries, and we know that Atom Morg's got that long-term injury, although it's not too long before he will be back. What I really enjoyed, Peta, from the performance was the smile on the face of the players, and we've said that for a couple of weeks now. The players really look like they're enjoying themselves. They got the opportunity to bond again, didn't they, on another long trip out to France this time. And it looks like this group is a really tight group, and we're seeing that now evidenced by the results and performances.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw the synergy of the players throughout the field, throughout the game. Sorry, the connections, the bond between them, and I do feel like it really. Well, to be honest with you, mate, if I had a private jet to France, I think I'd be in a pretty good mood as well, because you know the boys they've gone on holiday afterwards, so I think they've grafted hard for it, and the chemistry they've got amongst themselves. A lot of clubs could only wish for. You know, the work so hard for each other. I mean, with the news with what come out the other week about Willie Peters, it could have gone 1 or 2 ways. Thankfully, it's galvanised this group, and they look stronger than ever. And I personally believe we are getting back to winning ways of 2025. we've come to the party a little bit late with a bit of a slow start to the season, but I certainly think we're making up for lost time at the moment, and the boys just they look so happy, and you know what a way to mark your 1 year extension with Peta Hiku. Then what was it, a 70-metre try? You know, he was blown out of his ass when he got to the line, but you know, it's that smile on his face, mate. It's priceless, and you know, long may it continue. Let's hopefully, you know, we'll get Jesse So signed up for another year, because I'm hearing whispers that there is potentially talks of Jesse signing on for 1 year. What truth's in that, I don't know, but I'll be happy if that's the case, because Jesse's another one. He's never let us down. He don't take a backward step, and I think he'll be a role model to the likes of Jordan Desiree and players like that, you know, the younger props, and it's just great to have around the group, is Jesse. But no, it was a great performance, a galvanised performance, but it was fantastic to see Bill Leyland back in the frame. You know, I don't think he let us down. I think he looked better. You know, he did some bigger minutes, and you know, we're only going to reap the rewards of that by not burning out Jez Litton. So it's smart. And as for Jordan Desiree, you know, he's a big old boy, isn't he? You know, he flattened one of the Toulouse players with a barnstorming run, and I think that's what we've been missing at the start of the season. But that's probably through no fault of their own. You know, we've had illnesses within the camp, the travel, so I think we are coming good, and we have got a great squad to choose from now. You know.
Yeah, and whether it was by accident or design, Bazza, the fact that we got the opportunity to bring Bill Leyland and Jordan Zaria into the squad, we spoke about it last week, didn't we, on the Robin Pod, about what the future may hold for them, and the risk of, particularly Bill Leyland, you know, the risk of losing him if other teams start sniffing around. So it was a great opportunity to bring them into the fold, especially with it being a trip, like we said, to France, where they get a little bit more opportunity to bond as a team. So I'm sure they'll be absolutely delighted to get the nod. You know, you wouldn't say they were spectacular, but they was definitely solid and fitted into the side perfectly, didn't they? And it was great to see them out on the field. And then we saw some individual, absolutely stellar performances, didn't we? We saw Mikey Lewis at his best. Of course, he came away with a Man of the Match award. Equally as good, I think, was Tyrone May, who is now really hitting form. And, you know, them two playing off each other, and particularly Tyrone May, the way he's marching us around the pitch and getting us into the spaces, and then seeing him interact and link up with Mikey Lewis, it's a real joy to see. And if you're a forward or you're a second, you know, one of the second rows, some of the balls you're getting from them, it must be an absolute joy to play with. Let alone the fact you've then got Jez Litton dominating down the middle as well.
That's it, and it goes back to that synergy, that chemistry that the boys have together. And I think when they're enjoying the rugby, they'll play the best rugby, in my opinion. And the way they are working off each other, it's what's needed. Again, if there is any sort of changes within Rovers for 2027. I think there will be big misses, but right now, Jez Litton, Tyrone, Mikey Lewis, they're arguably the best 6, 7, and 9 in the competition. I'm not saying they are the best. I'm saying they're up there with the best, because when they're playing with that smile on the face and the confidence that they're playing with, at times they're unstoppable. And Tyrone May is unbelievably unpredictable, and that's what we want from him. And you know, we saw it so many times in 2025, and I genuinely feel like we're starting to find that form again in 2026 with them three, and also Jack Broadbent as well coming into the attacking line from fullback, mate. He's been absolutely outstanding. I know he had that blip in Catalan, but it's definitely worth a shout for his support play, and he's not put a foot wrong as Jack.
No, he hasn't, and he's someone who's definitely growing into that role. You've already mentioned it, Bazza. The player with probably the biggest smile on his face during that game was, of course, Peta Hiku. The news broke last week, didn't it, that he signed that 1 year contract extension. He's some people have questioned whether he was coming to the end of his stay at the Robins. Well, I think that 70-metre burst showed that there's still plenty of life left in Peta Hiku. And what I love about him, Bazza, is just his calmness. He's just a player who so often looks effortless, but he comes up with some, big punches in defence, doesn't he? And some of the assists he's created, let alone the tries he's scored. For me, he's up there with one of the best Super League imports we've ever had. I think that just the influence he's had on the team, I just think he's been absolutely outstanding, not only because of his performances on the pitch, but also the way that he's conducted himself and his leadership as well. And we'll see him in part of the senior leadership group now, and I'm delighted that we're going to be able to see him in the red and white of Hull Kingston Rovers next season.
I absolutely agree with you there, John. He's been a massive addition, and like you've just said, he has been arguably one of the best imports what's come through to Hull Kingston Rovers. I, for one, was not saying that I didn't want him, but I was questioning, would he get a new deal, earlier on in the year, because, if you ask Peta, and Peta will be open and honest with you, he didn't start the season in his finest form with dropping off tackles, especially what happened in Vegas. So he'll be the first to hold his hands up and say that, he wasn't performing to his own potential and his own standards, but he's certainly turned the corner and he's getting back to his best. And that 70-metre try, was it me, John, or did it look like he was running in slow motion? It looked like he was running in sloppy mud. You're just desperate for him to get over the line.
And there was a few twists and turns in the run as well, wasn't there?
He had some.
It was absolutely well deserving of it. And it's funny, you should mention about Peta Hiku in his early season form. There's only 2 players in Super League who have missed more tackles than Peta Hiku at the moment. One of them is Faramond. The one's Mikey Lewis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're in the top 3 for missed tackles at the moment. But I think, like you said, it's just taking a little bit of time to get into the speed of the game. And let's be frank, he came up with the goods in the most important game of this season so far, which was the World Club Challenge. And I think he is that big game player. And I think that's what we've become accustomed to. And I'm like I said, I'm absolutely overjoyed that he's going to be around next season. I think he's got plenty left. People were saying that his legs had gone before we'd even signed him. And I think the fact for me, what was telling is when he got that New Zealand appearance while still playing for Rovers, about how highly he was thought of. And also what's really pleasing for me to hear, and he's not the only one, is how much he's enjoying life in Hull and East Hull and East Yorkshire, and just his family have settled in, and just that togetherness that he's been part of is the reason why, for me, we have been so successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that does get overlooked is, he's in his 30s now. He's coming towards the back end of the career, but you'll look at his disciplinary record. He's got a great disciplinary record. And when was the last time he was injured? You don't see Peta out. You might see him out for a week, maybe 2. And 9 times out of 10, it's just to give him a breather. He's got a great injury record. He looks after himself for a big body like that as well. So it is massively valuable to us, and it can still do a job. It's just another week. What we're calling for last week with Tom Davis, we just need Tom to get over the line, because that right edge is absolutely fantastic in attack. We just need Tom to get over the line now. So if Peta is watching this, just, try and get Tom Davis over the line this week.
Let's throw in one. We mentioned about Elliot Minchella coming back. It's been interesting for me to read about how his role in the side's changed, how he's been spelled differently now. Of course, we was used to seeing him last season play the full 80, weren't we? Now he's been spelled in the early parts of the game, with him then having a little bit of a breather in the middle part and then coming back on to finish the game. He's still doing decent minutes, but what I think Elliot Minchella is saying is that by playing less minutes, we're seeing the best version of him, because he's able to have a bigger impact when we need him most. And we've got Dean Hadley, we've had Carl Lawton filling at 13. So there's players there who can come in and do a decent job. And I think it's smart, isn't it? And it was great to see him get that try, bombing down the middle off another Jeslett break. We're getting so used to seeing it now, aren't we? But it's great to see him in Chile. And it's for me, you can never ever compare, because everything needs to evolve. And this is a classic example of how Willie Peters and the players change things to propel us to hopefully more silverware.
Yeah, because if you keep rinsing and repeating from what we did last year, we're going to be an easy team to read. So if we do change the tactics and rotate players slightly differently, it always keeps the opposition guessing. And I think what's really valuable is when Minnie's off the field, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Elliot Minchella, because he is literally Captain Fantastic, but you don't notice it. There isn't really that drop in performance because when we get Dino coming on in the middle, or even Carl Lawton, we're still at that same level. But it's slightly different, but we're still at that same level, which is really, really pleasing to see. And what Elliot has said, he's absolutely right, because it's going to be a massive season, and these boys want a long career, and if they're going to be playing 80 minutes every week, it's going to shorten their career, in the long run. So it's just about looking after the players, especially looking after Elliot, because what is he now, 29? So, high 20s, he needs to be looked after a little bit more, and I think Willie Peters is doing that, and we are getting a better version of Elliot Minchella. But again, when he's off the field, it's that we're not noticing too much because we're getting a great replacement in, whether it's Dino or Carl anyway. So the performance is still up to standard. So, no, mate, long may it continue.
Yeah, he actually turned 30 in January. Did Elliot
Minchella?
Did yeah,
right.
Yeah. And happy birthday to Jesse Sue. He turned. It was his birthday a couple of days ago. Yeah, so look, Elliot Minchella, I think also what people sometimes underestimate is about his importance in some of the attacks we build. So obviously being in the middle of the pitch, he's often the first receiver, and some of the passes that he's making keeps that side ticking over. So look, what's great about this side is like you've just said, if Minchella goes off, it don't matter, because Lawton and Hadley come on, do a job there. Whoever's coming in at the moment, we're not seeing any real negative reactions or difference in our performances, which is absolutely fantastic, because it is a squad game, isn't it? And we need to be able to rely on some of the backup players to be able to come on and do a job just as good as the person who they're replacing. One slight concern was, of course, and we're going to talk about the Bradford Bulls game very shortly. We've also got Robins Revisited with Steve Till, and we've got loads of questions during question time that need answering, amongst other things to discuss. But one concern ahead of that Bradford game is Ollie Gildart. We saw him go off, didn't we? Him and Burgess look absolutely red hot at the moment. I think Gildart's playing probably some of his best rugby league of the last few weeks that we've seen for a long time. So to see him missing from the lineup is obviously concerning, but it presents another opportunity, maybe for No Booth. Of course, Baz, as we record this, we don't quite know the squad news. We don't know if there's any other players who are potentially injured or going to be missing for the Bradford game, but he's the most obvious one at the moment.
He is, and he's been in great form, especially, a lot of Budgie's tries this year have come from assists from Gilly, and, I would have thought Budgie would be second in the top try scorers so far, with 10. And a lot of that is thanks to Oliver Gildart. So he is going to be a miss, but I don't think it's like we've had in recent years where he's had long periods of time out of action. So I think it might just be a week, maybe 2 weeks. It was just a bit of a rolled ankle, so I don't think it's anything too serious. But again, it gives opportunity, and Noah Booth is a quality player, and that's the next man up mentality that we've got, and Noah is going to give us a good a performance as Ollie, and if out, it'll be quite frightening, that left edge with Noah and Budgie, especially in attack. I'm not too sure about defence, but especially in attack with the speedsters of them two. If Noah does go into that centre, I know he'll do a great job. But again, you've always got James Batchelor as well. Didn't we go on a bit of a winning streak last year with Batch in centre? I think we only lost one game with him in centre. He did a great job. So we've got options and opportunities for players, and I'm not concerned at all, because as much as I love Gilly, I just know whoever's going to fill in, whether it be Noah or both, we know we're going to get a proper job from him. And I don't think Noah's featured for us in the Super League this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm sure he'll be hungry to take his chance as well.
Yeah, and the versatility of our forward line does mean that it presents an opportunity for Batchelor to slot in at centre, doesn't it? And whether we go for the tried and trusted, I know Peters likes to have probably as many experienced players out there as possible. So there's every opportunity that we will see James Batchelor line up at centre. But hopefully Ollie Gildart pulls through and he's available for the Bulls game. One player scored, racked up his 1,500th point, Reece Martin. Now, he's a player who's still coming in for a little bit of doubt, I think, from certain supporters, where they're still...
Really?
I think, only from what I've been reading on social media, and you'll see some of the questions in question time where, they don't feel like they've got the best version of Reece Martin like he was at Leeds. But for me, I think he's absolutely crucial to this side, let alone his kicking ability. But I think we're starting to see him become more involved in terms of, the plays. We saw the offload to Gildart in the World Cup Challenge. We saw the try, obviously, against Toulouse. And I'd like to see him with the ball more in hand because I think he's actually a lot quicker than people expect. And I think he's a lot more skillful. So I'd really like to see him with the ball in hand more, obviously closer to the line as well, because I think he's a real threat for us.
Well, yeah, he is. And look at that try against Huddersfield. I don't think anyone realised how quick he actually was, that try against Huddersfield, No, I think Reece has done a fine job for us off the ball. I stand in the well and I see some of the hits he puts on players, and obviously you won't get that effect from the east stand, but when it's down my side, Ian Half goes in and thumps the players. He tackles very, very hard. I think people need to remember he had a long layoff last year, so whether that's playing in his mind of, he don't want to put himself out, so maybe he's not like playing at 100%, maybe just 90%, and he's just had a broken bone in his ankle, so I don't know, maybe he's been reserved. I don't know, but for me, I don't think Reece has done a great deal wrong. Could he run with the ball more? Potentially, but, it's Willie Peters, and Willie Peters might be asking a different game of him as to what he was asked to play at Leeds. So I don't think Reece has done a great deal wrong. Like you say, mate, he tackles hard. He's fantastic off the ball, and you don't get rack up them points for being a poor player over your career, and he's still racking them up for Hull KR. So for me, I'm quite surprised you caught me off guard there, mate, because I didn't really think anything negative of Reece Martin. I think he's been quite solid, and when they've had poor performances, it's been collectively as a team where the team has had a poor performance, not just one player. And I don't know. I felt like when Reece was out for 4 weeks, I did feel like we missed him slightly. So
I agree with you. I think when he's not in the team, you really then notice the impact he does have. Let's not forget as well, he's the Papua New Guinea, captain, the experience he's got, and obviously the proven quality he's got. So for me, he's one of the he's definitely one of the starting 13 every time that he's fit and available. It was just, do you know what, Bazza, in that second half, there's very, very rare, it's not often that we get the chance just to watch a game of rugby league, sit back and enjoy it. And that's what I felt we got the opportunity to do against Toulouse in that second half, because the attacking rugby that we were showing was absolutely fantastic. The result was never in doubt. For me, it then became about the 0, because it's something we've been chasing for a while now, isn't it? Being able to shut a team out. And we actually did that with relative ease. I know Toulouse, I think they had a couple of chances where our scrambling defence came out on top. And then it became about the attacking rugby. We saw Joe Burgess with another 2 tries. Funnily enough, he's second top try scorer in Super League. Don't forget, he's played a game less. Tyrone May's second for assists in Super League at the moment. Don't forget, he's played a game less. So, we're starting to see some of our strike players really perform. Joe Burgess, you give him that ball, give him 5 yards, and he's putting it down every time, isn't he? He's an absolute pleasure to watch at the moment.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, OKR and Joe Burgess and players like that, I do genuinely, and on my heart, believe we are going under the radar, because there's all the talk of Warrington Wolves, Leeds Rhinos, Mike Acevo, George Williams. It's them lot always in the spotlight, and I think we're going about things quite under the radar, and like not many people realise Joe Burgess is only 3 behind Mike Acevo, and everybody's raving about Mike Acevo for Leeds Rhinos. So I think that's definitely a positive for us, that the limelight's not on us and the spotlight's not on us. And Joe is just playing his game, and he's playing with a smile on his face, and he's enjoying it. So again, I keep saying it, but long may it continue, because the boys are happy, and Joe's never really put a foot wrong for us. And again, at the start of the season, he was another one which was a little bit suspect on that left edge with his defence. But again, it's tightened up, and we saw that synergy between him and Gildart. So I think if Gilly is out, that could be a little bit of a concern in defence. But again, it's how whoever slots in, I'm sure they'll be fine. But no, Joe Burgess is just rolling back the years, and he's another one in his 30s. He looked like he was done when he was at Salford. He couldn't find the trial, and now he can't stop scoring. A long may it continue for OKI. Must have stopped watching porn or something, concentrate on the game.
Well, he said it. He said it, didn't he?
He did.
But it amazes me, Bazza, how some people are still talking down the Robins and almost putting other teams ahead of us, which is obviously, don't get me wrong, this is an unofficial KR podcast. Of course, we're going to be bigging up the boys, but it's only what we're seeing and what we've seen them do last year. And now we're starting to see some of them telltale signs that we saw last season when we was doing really well. We're starting to see that again now. And this result against Toulouse was particularly important when you look at some of the results that occurred of the last round. We saw, of course, St Helens beating that lot, but then we saw Leeds put Giants to the sword. We saw Lee beat York. We saw Wakey put big numbers on Bradford. But the two most important results for me, Bazza, was the Catalan victory over Wire down in the south of France. And of course, the coupon buster, Castleford beating Wigan at the Brick Stadium. Now, they were the two results that have gone in our favour if you look at the league table. Don't get me wrong, Saints are still top. Saints are third. Leeds are top now. But now, with that game in hand, we are handily placed with Bradford coming up next.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And that's what I love about going under the radar, because in 2025, all eyes was on OKR. Nobody was talking about Wigan. It was just OKR. And it was, could we handle the pressure of it? And we've got no pressure. In my opinion, we have got no pressure. We did the treble. We've won the World Club. Willie's come to do what he's set out to do, and he's done it. People questioned if we could back it up. We had a slow start. People seem to have forgot about us. They're concentrating on Leeds and Warrington. I'm comfortable with that. So we just slide about under the radar, mate, and then before you know it, we'll be in that mix again. We'll be in that top four, upsetting them all. And me personally, I think come Challenge Cup semi-final, if we do a number on Warrington, that's Warrington's year over with. We've seen it year in, year out, and it's whether Leeds can go the distance. And again, the spotlight and the pressures on them two clubs. We'll just bimble about, enjoying ourselves. Wigan's coming in for criticism, very much like we did at the beginning of the year, but we got through that period. We had a shocking start to the year. For me, I think we're in a great spot. We've got a game in hand. We're loving life. We're loving our rugby. The boys are at they're loving it. They're all away on holiday now, living the best lives, and quite rightly so. I'm comfortable, mate. I'm not, and that's not in an arrogant way, like we're going to do this, that. I'm just very comfortable where we are right now, because if you look at the games, you can just see us getting better, and we are building very, very nicely. And yeah, it's a great time, mate. I just can't wait now.
Yeah, and for me, Baz, if we can get to the end of May and be either top of the league or second, with still that game in hand to play, we're in a decent position, aren't we? And hey, look, as good as things are now, there may be more bumps in the road. It's still there's still plenty of games of rugby league to be played, but we're quite handily placed. We're starting to see things click, and we're starting to see some of the players have a bit of a well-earned break as well, aren't they? Because on the back of playing Toulouse, we've seen players out in Mallorca. I think we've seen them various places. Yeah, all over the place. So obviously it's a planned move. I think Willie Peters has given players the opportunity to have a few days off. I expect they'll be back in training on Wednesday. Then it'll be Wednesday, Thursday, captain's run Friday, Bradford Saturday. Smart management. Willie Peters spoke about the need to give players a rest, didn't he, at various points during the season. Of course, there's no mid-season break. And, of course, we're going to have to back up with that extra game against Warrington as well at some point. So I'm all for it, mate. I think the players, they need the rewards. They need that carrot dangling in front of them, don't they? And I dare say that if the players are performing, they're rewarded, and the rewards come with time with the families, time away from the game. But when you are back at the club, when you are playing, perform, and this is what you'll get for it. Yeah,
absolutely. And, for me, the last 4 or 5 weeks, the boys, you can see the boys have given 110%. And, it's like you've just alluded to. It's smart management. Keep them fresh. Keep them hungry. Don't burn them out. And we've seen it on the field with the rotation of players, like you alluded to earlier with that Elliot Minchella. So this little mini break that they're getting, where they get to go away and spend the time with the family, do what they want. I think it's smart. It's very clever because we've got a busy roster coming up in the next few weeks. So it could go one or two ways. The boys could come back. We could be absolutely outstanding against Bradford and all is well. But if things don't quite go our way against Bradford, it'll be lessons learned. You won't be doing that again. Going off quarter of the way through the season on holiday. But for me, I think we'll bode well for it. And again, the boys have earned it. They need these breaks. They're human. They're not machines. And I'm happy with it, mate. It's a long season. It's a tough season, and it's about looking after the boys. And if you look after the boys, they'll look after you.
No doubt whatsoever. Right, we've got loads to still get through. Not least the trip to the Wembley of the North, Odsal on Saturday. Before then, though, Steve Till brings us another memory from far away.
Hi Chris, and let's go back to 2009 and an epic encounter at Odsal, which actually ended with the honours even. Two strong teams took to the field in front of over 12,000 people in the giant Odsal Bowl. The Bulls were coached by Steve McNamara, and their pack included Sam Burgess, Terry Newton, Steve Menzies and Jamie Langley, and as well as that, Paul Deacon was scrum half to conduct their orchestra. I reckon the Robins were the strongest under Justin Morgan in those days, and in fact the Rovers team, Sean Briscoe was fullback, we had Peter Fox and Liam Colburn on the wings, and in the centres we have Chev Walker and Chris Wellham, with Paul Cook and Michael Dobson as the halfbacks. But it was a strong Rovers pack as well. Nick Fozzard, Ben Fisher, Nick Vella, Clint Newton, Benny Gallia and Scotty Morrell was the walk-on pack. And in the on the bench we had Stanley Jean, Ben Cockayne, David Mills and Mikhaili Azou. So it was a strong Rovers team too. And it was Rovers that stunned the Bulls fans and the players by opening the scoring inside the second minute when a 20-metre restart by Scott Morrell saw the ball go out to Peter Fox on the wing, and he raced over 70 yards, leaving a trail of Bulls defenders in his wake as he went over and touched down under the post for Michael Dobson to convert. The lead was increased a couple of minutes later when an offence by Sam Burgess so the Bulls penalised and Dobson converted. So that was 8-0 to the Robins. But Bradford hit back in the 27th minute when a neat short offload from Morrison sent Tadulala over in the left corner, and Deacon converted with a magnificent goal from touchline. But 4 minutes later, and Rovers and Fox claimed a second try, the Robins had stretched their opponents out wide, and Benny Gallia's long pass allowed Fox to stretch over in the corner, and the pendulum swung back in the Bulls' favour shortly before half-time when Morrison again produced another telling pass to allow Chris Nero over in the corner. That was unconverted, so Rovers went in at half-time with a 12 points to 10 lead, and despite everything the Bulls could throw at them in the second half, and they threw plenty, Rovers had to defend heroically throughout the second half. But with 10 minutes to go, Deacon converted a penalty to make the score 12-12, as I say, with 10 minutes to go. And it looked as though a draw might be on the cards, but it was the same player, Deacon, who put Rovers behind in the 78th minute with a drop goal. It was a great play for for Bradford at dropping goals. He put a drop goal over in the 78th minute, leaving Rovers 13-12 behind. But right on the stroke of the game, right as the siren sounded, Michael Dobson popped up, popped a drop goal over, and he made it 13-13. It was an absolute thriller with Rovers' defensive effort in the second half, the highlight of the game, according to Justin Morgan, who felt that the Robins deserved to win. And I remember him telling me after the match, he walked into the dressing room and there were bottles being kicked over and things thrown because Rovers thought they'd got the Bulls and thought they deserved the 2 points. But if we get another, well, I don't think we will get another thrill like that this week. I think Rovers go to Odsal as strong favourites, but that certainly was. It thrilled the 12,000 crowd and everybody went home happy with the draw.
Bazza, the Robins travel to the west of Yorkshire on Saturday to take on a Bradford Bulls who are set to face a red-hot Hull KR side. Bradford going to the game on the back of 3 defeats, the most recent against Wakefield, a 52 points to 12 defeat away at Wakefield. Steve said that the Robins will be going in as hot favourites. It's hard to disagree with that at the moment.
Yeah, it is. And do you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed listening to that Robins Revisited, as always, from Steve, because there was some blast from the past there with some names more notably for me. Ben Fisher, what a player he was for us out of Hooker. Now, going into Saturday, there's no denying Bradford are massively down on troops. The one thing Bradford do have in their favour, and, you know, as much as I'd love it to be a blowout, I don't think it will be quite the blowout that Rovers are expecting, because it's a very, very narrow pitch and it's all about how we adapt with it. It's all about how we come back from our little mini holiday and, you know, get back to business. So I don't think we should do a number on them. Will it be as big as Toulouse? I'd hope so, but for me, so long as we get the job done, that's all that's important to me right now. But just keep taking these wins over, because Bradford will not be an easy place to go. And I don't know if you watched it a few weeks back, Rugby League Outsiders, when it was the Leeds Bradford derby, when there was recording from inside the tunnel. Jesus, that was intimidating. So if it's all like that, you know, it can actually spook you. But, you know, we stay in the ground for the first 20, wear them out, and again, I think our class will take over, and we will wear them out, because, like I said, not making excuses, but Bradford are massively down on troops, and you can't see anything past an OKR win. And I'd like to see an OKR win by 20 plus.
Yeah, I mean, Bazza, you've just mentioned it there. Let alone are they going through a bad run of form? They're missing 13 odd players. They suffered another couple of injuries against Wakefield. You got the likes of Rowan Mills, Ryan Sutton out, Joe Mellor, Masters. That's just 4. They are literally down to the bare bones. Yeah, Eric Doron won't be playing. So when you start looking through that squad, you know, and we're going in with the players that we've got at our disposal, you know, sunny afternoon in Bradford, like you said, there is a mitigating circumstance in terms of the size of the pitch. That said, you know, this Rover side is red hot, and we don't want to get to the point where it's arrogance, but our family back the boys to go get a victory. Now, whatever that scoreline may be in terms of our favour, I'm not too bothered. For me, it's about the zeros. It's about racking up them free breakfasts. It's been a long while, hasn't it, where the players haven't been able to get on Marina and enjoy your breakfast. So for me, as long as we keep that score to 0, I think the other bit will look after itself. And I think the players will be firmly looking forward to this one on the back of the breaks that some of them have enjoyed. Yeah,
there will be. And for a lot of the players, they'll have never been to Bradford. So it'll be an experience for quite a few of them. I know Willie said in his pre-match about Bradford and when he played at Odsal, and, you know, what a place it can be. So So long as we don't get drawn into the niggle, so long as we don't get drawn into the grubby stuff, what I expect Bradford to throw at us, if we just keep our heads and play our own game like we saw with Mikey against Toulouse, I think that'll all take care of itself. We just can't get drawn into the niggle and the grubbiness, what I'm expecting Bradford to throw at us. I think we should be all right. I really do think we should be all right. And I think it'll give more opportunity for the likes of Bill Leyland and potentially Jordan Desiree, rotating the squad as well. So, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like I say, I'm expecting a win. I don't think it'll be easy. I think that first 20 minutes might be quite ugly. But if we just stick with it, stick to our processes, I think the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, Willie Peters, he'll have some more selection headaches, won't he? If Carl Lawton and Sam Luckley, hopefully their injuries weren't too serious, what kept them at the Toulouse game, if they're not too serious, we'll expect them to be in the reckoning for the game on Saturday. The fact that Jordan Desiree is then featured and Bill Leyland, I'm sure everyone's absolutely chomping at the bit now to get out there, aren't they? It'll be a special moment as well, I think, for Elliot Minchella to go back to Bradford, of course.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what stand Chris Minchella is going to be stood in. Is he going to be in the Bradford end or the KR end? Because, he's a Bradford boy through and through, isn't he? His old man. So it'll be interesting to see where Chris is going to be sat.
Yeah, it's going to be a special occasion for Elliot, no doubt. Which leads us swiftly to, Bazza, question time.
Here we go.
Of course, Bazza, the questions have been coming in thick and fast. There's been some big stories breaking, not least the news that Tavita Panga Jr. is going to be joining the Robins. So we're going to kick off with some questions around there. So a huge thank you to everybody who's contributed this week. It's always great to have your input and get your opinions on what's happening with the Robins. So let's start with wait, that helps if my would actually work. With Panga Jr. coming in, would you say this is Sue's last season at Craven Park? So, Bazza, of course, it was announced that Tavita Panga Jr. is set to join the Robins. He's 30 years old. Hull Kingston are his fourth rugby league club in the last 4 years. Of course, he's been at Canterbury, been at the Dolphins. He was at Catalan. He then signed for Warrington, but then went back on that deal when I think he found out that Steve McNamara was going to be the assistant coach there. So he backed out of that one. He's been playing lower league rugby union in France. Of course, he played them 23 games at Catalan, which was pretty much one of the worst seasons to date in Super League. It's one that's come out of left field a little bit, isn't it, Bazza? Because not many people expected it. And of course, now is this going to be a view to him playing potentially next season because he's got an opportunity to put his name into the ring, hasn't he? You'd expect him not to be fit or Rovers fit because of where he's been training, what he's been doing. So even though they've given a date of 1st of May when he'll officially sign for the Robins, I'm not expecting him to see him in the first team for a good few weeks yet until he gets up to speed. But if we get the best version of him, which we have seen at times, there's no doubt whatsoever he's going to be an absolute asset to this side with that run to the end of the season. So we'll deal with the Sue question in a second, but what do you make of the signing, Bazza?
Right, I'll be honest with you. Very underwhelmed. When it got rumoured back in January, for me, it was a no. Purely because of attitude. But I don't care who it is. Anybody who pulls on a Rovers jersey, I'll back him. Right? Willie Peters won't sign someone for the sake of signing someone. There will have been extensive conversations. He will know what's required when he comes to Hull Kingston Rovers. You've seen Willie Peters over the last 3.5 years. He is ruthless. If somebody don't cut it, it don't matter who you are, you're gone. So for me, it could be an absolute masterstroke, and we could see the best version of Tavita Pangai Jr., what we saw at the Dolphins, because he played in that same Dolphins side as Eamon Sasa. And Eamon Sasa, I know he's for that lot, but he's a quality prop. So if he can capture that form from the Dolphins, it's going to be massive for Hull Kingston Rovers. But if it goes the other way, all we're seeing is people with opinions on social and people latching onto it and adding a bit more to it. So if any of that is true and he does have an attitude problem or he doesn't make it, I'm comfortable that Willie Peters will see you later. They'll book him a taxi. So there's going to be no transfer fee. I can't imagine he'll be on big money. For me, it could be what we're needing right now because we're seeing an awesome version of Tom Amon. Great. It's very much the same with Jesse So. So to back that up, to have someone like Pangai Jr. and Sam Luckley with the powerful runs and the offload game, if we can unlock that great player, what is within Pangai Jr., it could be an absolute masterstroke. But if you don't cut it to the Hull Kingston Rovers way of what's required, it won't work, it won't last, and it'll be see you later. And we're not scared to do that. So I'm excited, but I'm also cautious at the same time. I think it's a smart move, but I'm saying it's a smart move with a bit of caution. And Willie Peters ain't got a lot wrong, has he, at the time in our club? And when he has got something wrong, he'll hold his hands up and ring the changes. So for me, I'm looking at it as a positive. And end of the day, the boys putting an OKR jersey on and everybody should get behind him because, we loved Aribi Doro when he was doing them barnstorming runs last year. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it for us. So to say Tavita Pangai Jr. can't rustle up the same, if not more, with his barnstorming runs. If he sorts his defence out, it could be great going forward for us. It's a long season. There's some big bodies. I've always felt we've always been missing that little bit of spark in the middle, and it could be what's missing. So I'm all right with it. I'm looking forward to it when he eventually gets his opportunity, when he gets up to match fitness.
Yeah, I do think it's a deal, Bazza, that works in both parties' favour, isn't it? Because, if you look at his style of play, it's probably a style we haven't got at the club at the moment. The last player who probably punched holes like Pangai Jr. can do was Kalepi Tanganoa. And we saw how ruthless he was when he got the opportunity to play. And I think that's the one player. So I don't think it's a reflection on any of the other props or forwards, for example, not being good enough. It's Pangai Jr. is just a different type of player. And I think Willie Peters probably looked at it, when we come into that back end of the season, that final third of the season, if we've got that something different to what another side may not have, or a different type of forward, I think that's where it can become so important. And if it don't work out, it don't work out. But it's in Pangai Jr.'s favour just as much because he's wanting to earn a deal somewhere. It's either with a Robins or it's with another Super League or NRL side or first grade rugby union side. It's in his favour to come toe the line, work at him in training to get his fitness levels up, and then when he does get his opportunity out on the pitch, to make sure that he's playing his best rugby league. So I think that it's win-win. Now, there's some question marks here, aren't there? So Beadle on Instagram, he obviously said about Sue. You've then got Luke. He says about Sam Luckley. Is his days numbered? There's also Jack Brown now being, obviously, he's pretty much everyone in the media saying he's signing for Castleford. Is he going to be released early to accommodate him? So that's where there's a bit of jeopardy. But I can't imagine Sue and Luckley being at threat. Sue next year with another year, maybe a question mark. I'd like to see him stay. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. He's getting better. But I can understand why there's some question marks around that in light of Pangai Jr. coming in.
I do understand people. Should we say the panic, as in, we bring one person and know we're going to lose? I believe what truth's in it, I don't know, but there is ongoing talks. Jesse So set to sign a new one-year deal on the back of Peta Hiku's, which, if that is true, it's great for Rovers because it gives us so much. As for Sam Luckley, I personally don't see him going nowhere. Willie has backed Sam so much, Sam Luckley was very much like Jared Warrior Hargreaves in terms of leadership. We saw the speeches at the Challenge Cup final at Old Trafford. He's a big voice, he's a big leader, and it's great for us, what he brings off the field. And I can't personally see Sam going anywhere as well, because he's not a massive earner, he's not a 300 grand a year pro. He loves it here. For me, Sam would be going nowhere. Now, the Jack Brown one, it's a sad one, because I like Jack Brown a lot, and the lad's never ever let us down. He's an East Hull lad, and at the end of the day, he's lived his dream. He's played for his club. He's won everything with his club. And if what the media is saying is right, that he's signed for Castleford, I think as the Rovers family, all we can do is wish him well and hope for the best for him, because his parents are still red and white through and through, and they'll just want the best for his boy, and we just want what's best for Jack. And if Jack feels he's going to get more of an opportunity at another club, all we can do as part of the Rovers family is support Jack and back him. And, I'll always keep tabs on, Castleford or whoever he signs for, to see how he's faring, because I've got a lot of time for Jack Brown, and all I can do if he is going, whether it's the end of the season or mid-season, is wish Jack well, because, he hasn't played a massive amount of games for us, but what games he has played, he's been very effective, and he's been very valued and very much loved by the Rovers family. So he's not really let us down. So I just want what's best for Jack Brown.
Yeah, and there's Castleford do have a little bit of wiggle room in their squad, don't they? Obviously, if he signed for them in 2027, it probably makes sense for them to bring him in. So no doubt over the next week or so, or next couple of weeks, we'll probably get some confirmation around that, if indeed it does happen. Simon Lattis on Facebook, he says, I personally don't agree with the Pangai Junior signing. I fully appreciate the in Peters we trust element here, but I'm finding this one very difficult, especially with Brown allegedly going to Cass as a result. Is Peters really looking at the future development of players, or is he more focused on just this final year? I do think players like Booth, Brown and Leyland should be getting more minutes for the first team. If you're good enough, you're getting in, aren't you? I think that's the mantra at the moment. Who would you drop unless you're rotating players, because you're not doing it on form at the moment?
No, because a lot of them are in form, and Willie will pick his squad to accommodate the opposition. So he does have his set players, what he will play with, but if he feels a certain player can add something different against a certain opposition, Willie will ring the changes for that. And we don't see what goes on behind closed doors. We don't see what goes on in them team meetings. So as for Willie, I don't care, mate. Do you know what? If he wants to spend every bit of the club's cap and put us in a bit of debt for the rest of the year to give us another swan song, we'll take it, because, sorry, but Willie Peters deserves it. As for Pangai Jr., everybody's going to have doubts. All I'll ask is, we back him. Jesus, we all backed Ben Reynolds through gritted teeth. None of us liked him. We couldn't stand him. But when he put that Rovers shirt on and he scored in Catalans, we was all buzzing, even though it was Ben Reynolds. And that's just what we do. You don't have to be the biggest Pangai Junior fan, but just back whoever puts the shirt on, even if it means one of your favourite players having to depart. That's the nature of sport. It's always changing and evolving. And if a club like Hull KR stands still, we will get found out and we will start dropping down, as we're seeing with Wigan. They've stood still. They've maxed the cap out. They can't sign nobody. And look at how Wigan are suffering right now. Whereas if you keep evolving, keep making changes, you're not going to get every change right. You are going to get some wrong. But if we keep evolving, we keep moving forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels, he says, thoughts on Tavita Pangai Jr.'s arrival. Comes with some controversy and more baggage than we need, but he was a top NRL prop 5 years ago, so there is definitely a player there. Rumour mill in overdrive, hearing of Tyrone May to West Tigers next season. Jez Litton to Manly, then Papua New Guinea with Peters in 28. Adrian Lamb coach and son Lachlan Lamb from Lee. Personally, I think there's better coaches available in the NRL. A lot to unpack there, isn't there, Bazza? Some of the rumours there I've heard. The Adrian Lamb definitely is one that I've heard about him coming in for next season. Maybe an announcement might even be imminent around that. Paul Lakin said, didn't he, that they're expecting to do something maybe in May in terms of announcing the next head coach. He wants him to be working with the current setup ahead of the new season. So we expect movement on there. We spoke about Adrian Lamb. You've chucked his name in the ringer before, Bazza. Jez Litton to Manly, be a huge loss, wouldn't it? But some of these deals, like as much as you might not like it, do make sense in terms of where they're going and where they could be going. Or it could be complete utter nonsense and none of this happens. This is the silly season, isn't it? It's always a silly season in rugby league in terms of rumours. I got told Jez Litton was selling his house the other day. That don't mean he's going to Manly, next season, though, does it? So, yeah, it'd be a sad loss, though, if he does go, Bazza.
It will, mate. But again, is another one, isn't it? Very much like Josh Hodgson did back in the day. And it's moving with the times. And, all you can do is wish Jez the best if it is true. As for Adrian Lamb, I get the negativity, but I don't at the same time, because if you listen to his press conferences, he very much speaks like Willie Peters. He holds the same values. The only problem for Adrian at the minute, he's got the circus behind him. People forget how well he did at Wigan when he was a coach there, and he took him to a grand final and still lost his job. You know what I mean? So he's not a bad coach, and if Adrian Lamb fits into the old KR way, get behind him, welcome him. Be careful what you wish for Hull Kingston Rovers, because so many people had opinions of our assistant without naming names that they didn't want him as head coach. All right, you don't want him, but we might get Adrian Lamb. So if you had to choose between the two, this is not us to decide who gets the coach. It's the board, and partially Willie Peters will have his input. So all we can do is back him. As for Tyrone May to West Tigers, if it happens, it happens. He's in the form of his life. He gets to go home and play with his brothers. He's earned it. All it's going to do is give opportunity, and again, for our club to evolve and not stand still. As much as we love these players, in 3 years' time, they won't be the same players as they are now. So it's about evolving and improving year on year. And sometimes there's going to be decisions that we aren't going to agree with, we aren't going to like. But all we can do is get behind the team and the coach and whoever pulls the jersey on, mate. So, yeah.
And that Tyrone May one, that's one that's been around for God knows how long, hasn't it? Mark Brady, interestingly on that point, he says, "Hi, lads, I know it's not until next season, but I can't think of one coach in the Super League that I would want for next season. I was against Ian Watson taking over, but he knows how the club is run and how the training standards are. What's your thoughts? Ian Watson, I can't see it. I think he's comfortable as an assistant coach, and I think with what the club are expecting out of the head coach and the direction of travel for the club, I think it's someone with the stature and someone with the know-how and someone who's been there and done it who will be taking on that role."
Yeah, it's a very, very valid point. You could make the same argument for Danny Ward. He knows the culture, and everybody would love to see Danny back, but that doesn't necessarily mean to say he'd do the best job. But it's a strange one, mate. Mark's more than entitled to his opinion. He won't want to see another Super League coach at our place. He don't feel there's nobody would be able to do a job, but sometimes a coach coming from another club knows the league, knows what it's about, knows the rules, and it might be good if it's Adrian Lamb, if it's anybody else. So again, I like to reiterate, whoever comes in, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but at the end of the day, we're all pulling in the same direction, and we all want what's best for our club. So we'll just back whoever it is, and if it's not working, we've got a ruthless board there who will make changes.
Yeah, Carol, thanks for your question. We were absolutely delighted to see Hiku score on Friday night and, of course, sign that new contract. Julie Rodman, she asked, Bazza, what's your favourite food from Craven Street? It's got to be fish and chips for me.
Oh, I'm not keen on that. Van, to be honest with you.
Really well. We'll be announcing their sponsorship of the Robin Pod next week then.
Oh, mate, it was banging, mate. That patty butty I had was the best patty butty I've had in all there. I won't lie to you. Oh, you caught me out there. Nah, I don't mind the spuds, mate. Very nice. Pizza's bang on.
Yeah, and just finishing, it's not really a question, more of a statement. Rob Coles, he says, seeing how some other clubs running and are being run and behaving shows really makes me. God, it'd help if he could absolutely use his sausage fingers to actually spell. Seeing how other clubs are being run and behaving really shows and makes us appreciate the professionalism at our club. And I think with all the dealings, with everything that's going on at the moment, even with the Tavita Pangai Jr. and everything that's going to happen there, I just think we are in a very fortunate position to support a club that's been run like it at the moment.
And that's it, mate. There's a little bit of meltdown of potential transfer, potential coach or Pangai Jr., you know. Just take a step back and look at what's going on across the river, you know. They're the laughing stock of Super League. You know, we can't have a meltdown over a prop forward coming in. Look what we've done, you know. Look at where we're going. And that's what's important. We are a circus. We do things professionally and respectfully.
Yeah, the Robins are set to be backed by great numbers again. I mean, it was fantastic to see all that red and white in Toulouse on Friday night. Huge, well done to everybody who went out there. It looked like an absolutely fantastic occasion. And on Saturday afternoon, the boys are set to be backed by another bumper following. So if you're going to the game, make sure you are loud and proud. But for now, this has been the Robin Pod, which is, of course, powered by Budget Ties Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers.
This is the Robin Pod. Robin Pod. This is the Robin Pod. Whoa. Throughout the years, whatever the game, the Red Army's passion is always the same. Decades pass, now we rise anew. Rovers fans, this pod is for you. We won the cup, we ruled the league. A grand final win made us all believe. The world took note with Brisbane's fall. The Robins superb, now we won it all. Red Army, let's hear you sing with all your might. For your world champions in the red and white. We are Hull, KR, and we are the champions of the world.